Hi everybody. I am going to try to do a video now because I could wait for the weekend, but my mom is supposed to come by in half an hour, and I know there are some things that I wanted to address. I don't know why there's a dot on my nose, but it's just there, so I guess we'll have to deal with it. I wanted to address one comment that I got that, it was kind of like, these are things I may do separate videos about, but on my last video I did, I've had a few, like, brief videos recently, and I also wanted to say that the thing that I was upset about in my last video got resolved, so that's good. I don't feel like the same way that I did before about being cut off from care or anything, and I feel a lot better, so there's the coughing again. So the question that I was thinking of answering as much as I can in this video, and I could answer more if I don't get to all of it, is when we talk about the surgery, the experience in the Dominican Republic, the operating room, and the recovery house. Also, how was the swelling, and how was the plane ride home, and do you like your results? So those are a lot of questions that are really good questions, and I will try to make sense out of them. And I'm so pressed for time right now, and I want to make sure that this video gets out. So if anybody interrupts me, I will just have to, because I don't really know how to do the editing thing yet, I'll just have to deal with it. So my experience in the Dominican Republic largely centered around the recovery house. I will say, and also not asked in that question, but something I get a lot, people want to know about carrying money. And I understand the apprehensiveness that people have about this, because we've always been told not to carry large sums of cash. And sometimes there are warnings at airports about carrying large sums of cash. And unfortunately, for most of us, we have to carry a large sum of cash. There's no way around it. So I will say this, rationally, and that's like part of, what I do on a daily basis is to look at things rationally. Rationally, nobody at the airport knows that you're carrying as much money as you're carrying, whatever it is for your surgery and your stay and expenses. Rationally, you go from your airport transportation, which is usually a relative, or I had a cab because my relatives were not available, or you have, for whatever the case is, you're not at the airport unattended walking through dark areas most of the time. So in that sense, nobody's going to rob you in the car on the way to the airport. You're going to walk into the airport and security is very tight. It is unlikely you're going to get robbed at the airport. If you carry the money on your person like I did, it's unlikely, again, that anybody is going to be able to take it from you without somebody noticing. In that case, all you have to do is really get to the recovery house, which is for most people. There's just not a lot of, there was a period of time where I was walking around. I didn't know where Carlos was yet, so he was my driver. He works for the recovery house. And I didn't feel very unsafe. It's a very quiet, peaceful airport, so it's just a short period of time that you have to have the money on you, and you're paying for your surgery, so you're not flying back with it. So, there was a story I read about a doll whose money got stolen at a very popular hospital, according to her. And that could happen in the specific scenario she was in, but for me, with Dr. Lima and staying with Janet, there was no situation where Janet immediately took whatever money I had left over and offered to hold it for me in a safe place. So, you don't have to worry about that. Most of you don't, and if you are worried, try to discuss it with your surgeon beforehand or whoever is handling you, because basically a lot of this trip involves having handlers, not in the sense that you need handlers to go. It's just to help you navigate having surgery in another country. Some people use consultants. Sometimes the recovery house is handling the details for your trip, but whatever the case is, I just want to say it was not a big deal. Like I said, I bought a yoga pant type fold over, so you could wear it with yoga pants, and it would look like part of the yoga pants. Yes, money creates, a bulge in the yoga panty type thing, but nobody noticed. The TSA woman asked about it, and she looked at it to make sure it was money and not drugs or something, and I got right through. So it's not a big deal. And now we're 4 minutes into the video, so sorry. So my experience in the DR was great. It's a really beautiful country. I was recovering from surgery, so I really didn't see very much of it, but I did get to drive around a lot with, with Carlos sometimes. Janet's husband took me to the salon, things like that. So it's nice. I know some dolls do have occasion to go out, go places, do stuff. I've never heard anybody complain about those experiences. They like to go to the mall. Some have gone to the beach. You can't go swimming, obviously, if it's before your surgery. but it was nice. So my experience in the operating room. I think I've recapped my surgery day, but just to recap again is Carlos picked me up at 7:15. I was one of the first people there, but there were staff there. A few people arrived between then and 9 o'clock. I was taken in for pre-surgical testing, which I cleared. And I wasn't scared, even though I was completely, I don't remember being anxious at all. I didn't really remember feeling any sort of way. It was like waiting anywhere. And then Janet came and told me to get ready, and she left me all the stuff I needed, and then somebody came and brought me to the operating room. And like I said, I walked in. I didn't get wheeled in. I had, those sterile booty things on. I think a lot of times I've heard people talk about operating rooms being dark, and sorry, I'm just getting rid of this reminder thing. And things like that. I think that's because, and I've noticed this on plastic surgery shows, I think it has to be dark for them to see your body. So it wasn't dark, but the light was coming from the overhead, it was trained on my body. So not that that matters, it's just that I think people think that they're in a dark room. They think, operating rooms are like what you see on TV, that there are all these bright lights, when in actuality, a surgeon probably needs a light trained on you. And I know when I was an esthetician, which is nothing like surgery, I always had the lights off and had a small light on the client's face, which you'd know if you'd had a facial, you need that trained light. So I think that's where the kind of, I was in a dark room thing comes from. I don't remember much about surgery. I felt no pain. I remember being nervous, about the epidural being dispersed enough across my body, but I didn't have any pain whatsoever. At the end, I felt a little bit because I think that things were wearing off, and that's not uncommon in surgery. When you get to the end point of surgery and things are wearing off, they don't want to kind of start you over from the beginning. So I said that I felt something, and then I immediately stopped feeling it. So surgery, unfortunately, was just really uneventful. There were no scary sounds, there were no scary smells, and now remember, I have an anxiety disorder, so I am extremely attuned to anything that might be a threatening environment. And I just didn't feel any bad ways during surgery. It was just kind of like the whole thing, waiting for surgery and then going into surgery, was not boring. It was just very routine, something you've done a whole bunch of times. So then, and like I said, I thought that being in the hospital afterwards and separated from everybody in the recovery house, and it was just kind of boring because I couldn't sleep. So there was 17 hours when I was in the hospital or the clinic or whatever where I wasn't sleeping. So that was really my experience. It was just, sorry, Grubhub is sending me a coupon. So it was very quiet. It was peaceful. It was easy. I don't remember pain. I remember being afraid. I think that's probably the main thing, is that there is more being afraid than being in pain. You're afraid, can I stand up? Can I get up? Can I walk? What if I need to go to the bathroom? And those are the things that you don't know immediately coming out of surgery, what it's going to feel like. So those are my feelings. My experience in the operating room was extremely unremarkable. And, I was eager to get back to the recovery house. I had a roommate there. I had people that I had talked to there. Everybody was really nice, so I wanted to get back. And I did get back, and like I said, I slept most of the first day. I didn't really get to, on Sunday I was still a little bit tired. I was getting there. So Monday was my first real normal day after surgery. And I'll talk about the recovery house. Now, I have to say, I have read a ton of conflicting things about recovery houses. By the way, I finally got the right stage 2 faja today, and oh my god, putting that thing on was really hard. It took me forever to get on. I was so convinced that it wasn't going to fit, and it did. And it's very tight. I know I need it, so I'm glad that it's here, but oh my god. So anyway, back to the recovery house. So I got to the recovery house before my surgery. Everybody was really nice. We had all spoken to one another on Facebook before, so it wasn't a big deal. It was kind of like meeting anybody you'd meet that from the internet. And then I had a roommate, and like I was saying, I didn't think that I would want to see anybody, but it was much better to have a roommate than not have a roommate. because, you know, it's just better to have somebody nearby if you feel like, you know, there's something you can't reach or whatever the case is. Having a roommate is great. Now, I can't say what it's like in all the other recovery houses. I can only say what it was like in mine, which is Janet's recovery house. So, there are nurses there 24/7. There was never a period of time where I couldn't get help if I needed it. And most of the stuff that I would ask for would just be basic things like drinks. And, you know, they would come and ask me if I wanted food like 5 times a day, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks. And they would make juice. So it was kind of like being on vacation. It's a nice house. It has a big front patio that people like to hang out on or go out to walk on. There's a hammock, which I imagine is not used very much because you're not really very good at getting up and down from a laying position after surgery. But it's just a nice area. You know, people would come from, you know, various places on the internet that we knew each other from. So it was just kind of like a vacation with other girls. So, they have medicines, they have medical supplies, and at this particular recovery house, there was a doctor who came by every night. And I really didn't realize how much I would miss that until I got home and I had problems with the medical care report, which is a different video. But, you know, the recovery house was really comprehensive. I got bathed every day. I got 2 massages a day. My wounds got redressed if necessary every day. Anytime I needed help getting into my faja, somebody was right there. I never had to wait for food or pain medication or anything. You know, there were no issues with the recovery house whatsoever. There were also things that they had there, like Janet stocked fajas and bras and compression stockings and anything like that you need, you could buy there. So that was good. Like, just like the OR, it was really unremarkable in the sense that I was really comfortable, and that's the most important thing. You know, it's not supposed to be a time, not like, I don't want to be sanctimonious, like it's not supposed to be fun. It's a relaxing, it's almost like it's supposed to be like a spa, and there were a lot of elements like that. You know, there were oil burners in the hall, so it smelled nice, and it was cleaned very frequently. So yeah, that's what the recovery house is like. It's just it's supposed to be a relaxing place. And I've heard of recovery houses having drama and having this happen and having that happen. And that nobody fought with each other. There were no issues. There was no drama. It was just a relaxing, quiet place to go. And there was never a time where I couldn't relax if I needed to. So yeah, that's basically. The recovery house was quiet, it was peaceful, it was relaxing, and there were never really things, I mean, I just don't think there's anything you need to know. Just research your recovery house, make sure you've spoken to people who've stayed there, and make sure you really find out if there's anything that they found wrong with it, because, you know, I've heard of recovery houses where people have fought, or their rooms are overpacked. I didn't know of any rooms where there were more than 2 people to a room, most people who knew each other. So, you know, those things are important. You want to know what the circumstances are going to be of your, you know, where you're staying and how. So, the recovery house was good. Everything was there that I needed. And then actually one night, you know, they made food every night and it was really good. But one night I felt like I couldn't eat anything but French fries. I don't know if you've ever gotten that feeling before where you just need something bland, but it also can't be like dry bread. You want French fries when you're sick. I wasn't sick, I was just post-surgical. And like they got it for me in like 5 minutes. It was pretty cool. So, you know, anything you needed was there. So that was my experience at the recovery house. And it was just like a lot of relaxing. It went by very fast. I know a lot of people would think 10 days. Don't you get bored? Don't you want to go here? Don't you want to go there? But it went by very fast. By Saturday, I was like, how am I going to find the time to get my hair washed? So, and then Saturday, I kind of like left overnight. And that was the other question, was how was the plane ride home? I thought it was awesome. So Carlos dropped me off. He said, hold on, I'll be right back. He left the car. He got the wheelchair guy who came and got me. And the guy dropped me off at the entrance to the plane. I got onto the plane, and I was sitting in an even more, so JetBlue, I can only speak for JetBlue. JetBlue upgraded me to an even more space seat, which was nice. But I was in a row with 3 people, and the person next to me, you know, I didn't think I would be comfortable, so I asked if I could move to the very first row because I had surgery. And they said no problem. They moved me up there, so that was good. The plane ride was not uncomfortable at all. I slept for about an hour of it. I watched a movie. I got a snack box. They didn't have the snack box. Well, they gave me the wrong snack box, and plain snack boxes are like one of my favorite things, so I was very disappointed. But it was okay. So then afterwards, the flight attendant, she was a little bit like tired, I think, but I asked her, and she announced about wheelchair passengers, so she was kind of like frustrated. She had to say it twice, but she said if you're getting wheelchair service, just wait, and you're the last people off the plane, but it really doesn't matter because after that you get taken really fast through customs, and I want to say I was out off the plane and at the curb within 15 minutes, and then my dad picked me up. So the plane ride was no problem, and I know this is a 3-hour, for me it's 3 hours, maybe in like 28 minutes or something from New York to Santo Domingo. This does not apply to a 14-hour. I don't think, unless you really can avoid it, definitely don't get on a flight with layovers. I know that people aren't super rich, so, and not everybody lives in New York where you can easily get to places, but it was a 3-hour plane ride, so it wasn't a big deal. I know other people will have longer plane rides and it will be harder, but I think for the most part, airlines, especially JetBlue, want to keep you comfortable. So, I liked it a lot. I wouldn't have minded staying on the plane longer. I wanted to sleep a little bit. But yeah, that's that. It was not bad. I wasn't anticipating it to be bad, but the wheelchair service really is just fantastic. It's door to door, so there's no point where you're struggling, like you have to get up and carry your bags 20 feet or something. That never happens. It's just complete coverage. So I don't think anybody should be worried about the plane ride if you have wheelchair service, and just double check if you're not flying JetBlue, if it's just as good. But I can't say that, it was just amazing. I really don't remember anything bad at all about the plane except the incorrect snack box. How is the swelling? The swelling is actually, for me, obviously pretty bad because my drain broke. And that, again, I'll talk about in another video. That was nothing to do with... So, I will say that if I had to do this all over again, I still would pick Dr. Lima because I have had occasion to interact with plastic surgeons here, and it's been nothing short of horrible. These are not people I would trust with my body, at least not in my area. I'm not saying, this goes for everybody, but Dr. Lima really did a great job with me and my body, and he's a really comforting person to work with. Now, a lot of plastic surgeons I've met here have been uncomfortable to be around. And I don't know if you're familiar with that feeling with doctors, but that has been overwhelmingly my experience. He is comforting, and here I've met many people who are not, and I know that sometimes it has to do with the fact that they don't approve of people going to the Dominican Republic, but sometimes in general, like in consults, it was just, these are not people I was comfortable with. I knew right away I was not going to entrust my body to them, so that was my experience. Now, unfortunately, for one reason or another, it's not exactly clear why, my drain came out like a week and a half to 2 weeks early. I had only had it for 15 days at the time it came out, and I needed it for about a month. This caused a lot of post-operative swelling, a lot more than most people would have, so it's hard for me to tell, what the average is versus what my experience is. I got a massage last Saturday. I'm getting a massage this Saturday, and that reduces the swelling. And also being in the stage 2 faja, I really hope is going to help. But, swelling is a fact of life after these surgeries for anybody, anywhere you have them done. Because anytime the skin is separated from the muscle layer underneath it, there's this traumatization that goes on. So until those two layers attach, as I understand it, the body will keep sending fluid there. It wants to pad it. So, and the reason we wear fajas, and I don't understand why this isn't universal practice in the United States, but the reason we wear fajas theoretically is to hold those in place so they're not going like this and everything can start sticking back together sooner. but the sticking back together process can take anywhere from 3 months to a year, I believe. So, the swelling right now is not great because I'm still suffering the effects of, early drain removal, which was not, okay, and just to give you background on how that worked was, Saturday the drain failed at the insertion point. It was briefly working, intermittently working until Wednesday when I went to go try to fix it myself. And I pushed it and it came out. It just like came out of my body. So it didn't hurt to come out at all, but I was upset because I knew it was too early and I knew that that put me in a much higher risk of a seroma, and seromas can reabsorb on their own, but still it's not something you want because they can encapsulate. So unfortunately for me, I have to wait and see what happens. So yeah, the swelling is not great, but I would also say that, I'm not a good person to ask because I had the drain issue, and the drain issue is not common. I didn't run into many people at all who complained of a broken drain, or who had that experience. Most people, it's more, I was expecting to be more concerned about drain removal when it was time, but in actuality, it turned out that my problem was that the drain came out too early. So for me, swelling is probably worse, but as you can also see, I look like this. I just look like a normal person. It's not really super noticeable, unless, you're really like close up poking the parts of my body where the surgery was. What else? Do I like my results? Yes. I've seen other videos, and reviews where people have said like their results have not necessarily underwhelmed them, but it wasn't worth everything. And I have to say, with Dr. Lima, I was not in pain. I was not scared. Yes, it was a schlep, as we would say in New York. It was a bit of a hike to get to Santo Domingo. But I do feel that even, if it's difficult to access care here in the United States, that doesn't make me want to wish that I'd come here. It's ridiculous. It's like, it's so inefficient and it's been so bad, that only made me more confident that I had chosen correctly for me. But there were issues. They were obviously getting a mind makeover. You're not, I don't want to say repairing or fixing, but you're changing things that changed during pregnancy and after you had kids. And my kids are 14 and 16, so it's been a while for me. I've been waiting for a long time. But a lot of the issues that he was addressing were things that, were also from when I was just before I had kids. I never really was happy. I didn't dislike my body, but if I could, I would have changed certain things, and Dr. Lima did that for me. So a lot of this isn't even because my body changed after I got pregnant. It's also because my body never developed in certain ways that I wanted it to. So I think that, yes, I'm extremely happy with my results. I don't think that there was a lot of pain involved. I don't think there was a lot of hassle involved. I think that one of the better things about traveling for your surgery is that you're forced to take that amount of time in the recovery house and recover, whereas people who have surgery, one town over, come home, and I know a lot of these people are going straight back to their household chores. They're carrying babies around. They're doing things. When you're in the recovery house, your job is to recover, and that's really, unfortunately, something we don't have in the United States. So hopefully that answers a lot of the questions. Just to double recap, my experience in the Dominican Republic, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't my mom, was great. It was quiet, it was peaceful, it's a beautiful country. My experience in the operating room was, again, for a person with a panic disorder, completely uneventful. I didn't hear anything, see anything, smell anything. The only thing I remember from my time in there was brief interactions with people who were reassuring me. I remember Dr. Lima smiling at me. And I remember asking to be put out towards the end when I think the epidural began to wear off. But again, that's not abnormal for this procedure. My experience at the recovery house was peaceful. It was quiet. I never waited for anything or wanted anything. The nurses at Janet's house are great. Um, I had everything that I needed there. There were supplies, there were services, I got massages. And that's one of the things that I really liked about this particular experience was that I didn't have to coordinate that. I didn't have to hire a nurse or a person to come do massages. All of that was kind of built in. The plane ride home, I think, was a fantastic. It was probably the best plane ride ever for me because I didn't have to carry my own things. I got picked up and brought to the curb. Yes, I'd like to walk. I know you have to ambulate after surgery, but just not having to go through all the hassle and lines at security and having somebody even there's this scene at JFK at these kiosks that my husband has been telling me about for a long time, but I haven't seen it because he has to go through customs every time he wants to see me for now. And it was just like a free-for-all, and somebody just took me through it. I didn't have to deal with that free-for-all. So plane ride was fantastic. If you are prone to pain or still in pain and you have access to pain medication, obviously take it before you get on the plane, just in case. I think they gave me something for pain before I left the recovery house. I don't remember what it was, and they gave me a blood clot shot. Meprexin is the name of it there. And I wore my compression socks, and everything was fine. I mean, I was tired when I got off the plane, but it was 5 o'clock in the morning when the plane left. It was 2 when I left the recovery house, so obviously I'm going to be tired. I came home, I relaxed. I have not been in pain since I've been home. I don't remember being in pain at the recovery house. I remember asking for pain medications to keep the pain at bay, but I don't remember severe pain. I don't remember, points where I was like, oh, I regret doing this. There have been points where I'm tired or unable to do things, or when I'm trying to deal with the seroma issue like I've been talking about, where I've been like, oh god, I feel like I'm never gonna fully recover. But I think that's normal. I think everybody feels that, and I know that it would be abnormal for me not to fully recover. And I will say I get extremely tired now. I think that's one of the biggest things that I would want to convey to everybody is that even if you hear my voice right now, I don't sound like me. I worked today. It was a quiet Friday at work, but I'm just tired. My mom is supposed to pick me up in 7 minutes to go to the diner, and I'm just very, very tired. I just want to sit down on the couch and talk to my husband, and I mean, that's another thing. This is just a personal issue, but it's in my mind as well. My husband, we still haven't gotten any news on his green card. We're still at the first step, and not having him here to help me, not to help me, just to comfort me. Like, at night, I don't want to sit around alone. Just because I just had surgery, I just kind of want a hug, and he's not here, and that part has been very hard. If you're going and coming back to your husband, I think, or your partner, or your wife, or anybody who you can cuddle with, that would be really good because, obviously I have family here, but nobody I'm going to be cuddling with. So, yeah, that has been hard for me, but that's my own personal circumstance. Not a lot of you are going to be going over to the Dominican Republic and having husbands waiting for green cards. And that's part of the reason why I picked this timing, was that, I thought I can get all the recovery stuff done with and not have to do it in front of him. But now I kind of wish he could come. So that's really, I think that's a longer version of events, and I don't want to do the thing I do where I repeat things 100 times, so if any of that wasn't clear, please let me know. I know I look like really booby today. My mom hates this shirt, which is, it's just like a plain, kind of bad, kind of bougie shirt from, Amazon, but, it's because I'm wearing this new faja, and it's super tight, so it's pushing everything up. Obviously I'm going to wear more crew necks in the future, but it is what it is. So, and I would just reiterate, yes, when you say, are you pleased with your results? There are things about my body now that have never, even since I was 5 years old, like my first memory of being body shamed, I was 5 years old. I was at summer camp at Farmingdale College, and I had a bikini on, and a group of kids pointed and laughed at me, and I hadn't ever worn a bikini since. So that was 33 years ago, and now I can wear a bikini, which is a miracle considering I've gone through life just not feeling comfortable exposing my midsection. When I heal, I'll be able to wear jeans with a button and a zipper, which again, before I had kids, I couldn't really do because of the shape of my body. I don't have to wear a bra once the healing part is over, and I can wear these really soft things from, Kmart as a bra now. So, I mean, pleased is kind of an understatement. I have all these new freedoms that I've never in my life had before, from when I could dress myself. And there's not really any way to describe how it feels for parts of your body that have always been one way to change into something completely different. I mean, I still look like myself. I don't think most people will notice the differences that I notice, but I will when I can put on jeans, and I will when I can wear a bikini on the deck, and I will when I can wear the backless dress that I've been saving and I don't need to wear a bra with, because my breasts stand up on their own. So yes, these are major, massive differences in my life. I was just saying to somebody that I work with that I've always been afraid to do interviews because I didn't know what I would wear, because I didn't know what I would feel comfortable in. And now I can wear a sweater and not feel like a box. And I want to make it very clear, I've never hated my body. I've always thought that, I've always felt beautiful, and I happen to just marry a man who has always made me feel beautiful on top of that. So I don't have confidence issues, but it's just a logistical thing. I mean, that's how I always saw it. Like, I would put on something and I would think that I looked good, but I might have picked something else if my body was different. Now I can. Now I can wear wiggle dresses. Now I can wear plunge dresses without having to worry about, getting 8,000 bra modalities to cover the straps. So Dr. Lima, and I know for a fact that I couldn't have gotten, anywhere close to where I wanted to be in the United States. And I got a little bit of insight. I'm sorry this video is going on so long, but I got some insight into that when I went for my massage last week. The massage therapist said that FDA regulations are, she said they're a good thing and a bad thing, but basically that they're not scaled. So, like, let's say, the safest amount for the lowest end of the scale, like a very small woman who weighs 95 pounds, applies to people on the upper end of the scale. So if you're a size 16, you're seeing plastic surgeons and they're not really like, oh, I can't do much for you, you have to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. I think that's because they know that whatever the regulations they're following are, they're not flexible, so they're not going to be able to do much. You're not going to look any different. Whether it's good or bad, it's just they can't do it. Whereas in the Dominican Republic, the doctors may have more ability to use their discretion. That said, a great number of the doctors, including Lima, probably especially Lima, are known for their safety and their commitment to safety. And it's just not being forced to go through a cookie cutter. I think I got the best results for my body, and I think that applies to a lot of women on the upper end of the spectrum who might not want to be a size 6, who might be happy at a 12 or a 14 or a 16, who might like to be curvy, but it's a personal choice. So I can't say enough how much of it's like if you've wanted something for so long, even before, probably spent half of my life or more, I would lose weight, but it wouldn't change the fundamental things that I wanted to change. So I don't know how to put that into words. Just like I don't even know what it's going to be like to wear a bathing suit and walk around, or to wear jeans and be like a normal person. Because I used to see people wearing jeans, and I would be like, oh, that outfit looks so cool. I wish I could wear. I mean, I'm 38 years old. Could you imagine going through life not ever being able to wear jeans? Just never, ever, ever. That was my life. So now that that's not an issue for me anymore, it probably won't be. Yes, I am more than pleased. I can't imagine. It just feels like unreal. I feel like, sorry. I feel like, there has to be some catch. Like, you don't just get to get rid of your body problems, but I did. So, and they weren't problems. I mean, I don't want to say it like that. But yeah, I am very happy. I definitely recommend that. And the thing is, I'll be blunt. Stupid people will say, "Oh, well, you had this issue with your drain, so isn't that like first of all, it's a fluke. Second of all, it could happen to anybody and it happens to almost nobody. And third, it's not a complication. It was a broken piece of equipment. So, would I do it again? Yes, the drain thing probably wouldn't happen again. I put tape over it or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I could definitely not see if I could go back in time going back and doing this with a surgeon here in Miami. And surgeons here like to imply that you can't afford them. When most of us can finance them if we don't have $30,000 saved, but I just find their work to be subpar. It's just not, I've seen it and it's just their results are too boxy. They do not work with curves from what I've seen. Maybe a few do, but at the same time, what's the difference if I travel to Dr. Curves in Atlanta versus traveling to the Dominican Republic? Or excuse me, sorry, at what point are we getting into xenophobia versus, oh, we just like you to be close to home? I don't know. Issues for a different video, but, hopefully I answered all those questions. I'm sorry this video went on for so long. I hope I wasn't rambling, and please ask me questions if you have them. I really want to be a resource because, like I said, I think that, I definitely would do it again. I had a great experience. It couldn't have been any better, and my results couldn't be any better. There's nothing, obviously, yes, I'm dealing with swelling like everybody who has a mommy makeover, but they couldn't be any better. It's just, I just can't believe it. So, thank you for watching, and I will make a new video soon, and I'll try to talk about the more granular issues, and please ask a question if you have any. Thank you.